While Prime Minister's address to the UN summit for adoption of post-2015 development agenda was a very important engagement of the Prime Minister, on day 2 of his US visit, he also held bilateral meetings with several world leaders. Both Sweden and Cyprus backed India's bid for a permanent seat in the UNSC.
PM's second day in United States saw him taking forward his momentum of bilateral meetings with world leaders in New York. His first one-on-one meeting on day 2 was with World Bank President Jim Yong Kim. At the meeting, Kim hailed PM Modi's leadership, saying India's standing in the world has improved since he assumed office, and appreciated the progress made by India in Swachh Bharat and Clean Ganga initiatives. PM Modi used the opportunity to seek greater say for emerging economies like India in World Bank's functioning.
He praised the progress made in the Swachh Bharat and the Clean Ganga programs, where the World Bank, as you know, is an important partner. He said that the Prime Minister's reforms have had a huge impact on the way in which the world looks at India. And he also acknowledged that what was happening in India was actually very, very different from what had happened in other countries. He maintained that the World Bank wanted to be a strong partner as India moves forward on these targets. Then there was a discussion on, in fact, the governance structure of the World Bank. And the Prime Minister said that he had always supported strengthening of global governance and reform of the institutions of global governance. But it was a fact also that a country like India was not represented in these structures. So this needed to change.
His second bilateral meeting was with King of Jordan Abdullah II Ibn al-Hussein. PM thanked him for Jordan's role in evacuating Indians from strife-torn Syria and Iraq, even as King Abdullah pitched for greater economic cooperation with India. That was followed by a meeting with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, during which PM sought greater say for India in UN's decision-making framework for peacekeeping forces, since India is the largest contributor to UN's peacekeeping missions.
The discussions in that meeting focused largely on peacekeeping, on sustainable development, including climate change, on UN Security Council reform, and some regional issues. Prime Minister said that India would continue to be a strong supporter of UN peacekeeping, but at the same time, there had to be a change in the manner in which decisions were being taken with regard to peacekeeping operations. There was also a very detailed discussion on climate change. The Prime Minister said that currently there is a huge trust deficit between the developed countries, which had not yet delivered on their commitments, including on climate finance. And he said, in fact, that the focus should not just be on emissions only. We should also set positive goals and support increasing use of renewable energy.
Continuing India's Caribbean collaboration, PM also met his St. Lucia counterpart, Kenny Anthony, who applauded PM's outreach to countries irrespective of their size and economies. Counter-terrorism and checking radicalization among youth was the main focus of the first meeting between PM Modi and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. The two world leaders recognized the threat posed to world peace by terror outfit ISIS. When he met his Bhutanese counterpart Shering Tobgay, both sides sought to strengthen the deep-rooted ties of friendship between the two countries. Cooperation in hydropower, tourism and transport sectors figured prominently in their talks. Prime Minister also met Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena and discussed ways to take the bilateral relationship forward, including cooperation in railways, housing and power sectors. PM assured him that India respects the sovereignty of Sri Lanka. Prime Minister's next bilateral was with Stefan Löfven, the Prime Minister of Sweden, during which the leaders discussed the way forward for human development. His last bilateral of the day was with the President of Cyprus, Nikos Anastasiadesa. Cyprus is a Mediterranean island nation with which India has had strong ties traditionally. Both Sweden and Cyprus backed India's bid for a permanent seat in UNSC. The bilaterals have offered a fresh opportunity to India to take its bilateral ties with several countries forward and share its vision on reforms with heads of international institutions. With Ajay Mishra and Sudhakar Das in New York, Bureau Report, DD News.